Hello everyone. I continue to read the new article of William Bond, my matriarchal friend, called Why Men Are Evil. And he says, in the past, military leaders trained their soldiers to kill by brutalizing them and teaching them to hate. Okay, this is me talking. Take a look on the internet about a website called Killology, Killology, Killology. Oh boy, I'm trying to think of the man who perpetrates that. He's in the military, and he's brilliant, and he writes Killology, how they make you, how they brainwash you to be a killer, how they desensitize you in different countries, how they brutalize you to become a psycho killer. Because you have to be a psycho to want to go out and kill people, innocent people, who haven't even done anything to us. You'd have to be crazed. Now, if somebody's attacking us, you just have to be very brave and very committed to one's country, one's family, one's society. And those are the people that are being attacked. They are defending themselves. So they have to be brave. Whereas the ones that are building empire or trying to steal the oil, the resources, the land, the gold, the silver, the mines, the treasures, those have to be psychos. Alexander the Great had to be a psycho big time. Attila the Hun was a big time psycho. Hitler and Mussolini were psycho. Stalin was psycho. Even though he wasn't, well, I guess he was building empire, yeah. The people in the empires, the British Empire, the Russian Empire, the American Empire, whatever the empire, all the empires, who just go out to steal, kill, and destroy, the men in charge of this are evil. They're evil. Oh yes, Lieutenant Colonel, I think the Killology is Lieutenant Colonel Grossman. Grossman, I think so. Look it up on the internet. Killology. Very valuable insights and teachings, and he's seen it in his own, with his own eyes firsthand. He's experienced it, and he teaches and explains it. New recruits were subjected to physical violence and then later encouraged to do the same to other men. They were also taught to hate the enemy they were fighting. In other words, the military had to train men to hate and kill before they could become effective soldiers. Hate. Can you kill when you don't hate? I can't imagine it. Nowadays, this conditioning has become more sophisticated by the use of behavioral psychology, where killing becomes an automatic response for soldiers. The problem is that these soldiers don't stay in the military. No, they don't. They come home and kill us. He's going to say that in a second. I know he is. They come back into civilian life, get married, bring up children. They end up influencing their families and society as a whole with what the military has taught them. You know, men, they're handy with guns. They're handy with weapons. And when they're not in the military, they come home and kill girlfriends and wives and children. Some of them. Very rarely, of course. One of the worst things they do is they kill themselves. I have seen some of the statistics about suicide of military men. It's horrendous. I think that there's many factors, and I'll put up a few. Post-traumatic stress disorder. They are, war is hell. Sometimes they have remorse, maybe, for what they have done. Guilt and remorse will make you kill yourself because they commit atrocities. It's not soldier versus soldier. When they are bombing countries, they are bombing civilians. They are bombing schools, hospitals, orphanages, private homes, and they are killing citizens. They are raping women and children. They are doing, when an army occupies a country, they brutalize the citizens. They brutalize the military, but 98% of, this is me talking, not William Bond, 98% of casualties, deaths and injuries are citizens. Hear me, citizens, civilians, men, women, and children, civilians. They're unarmed. They are not a threat to you, the military. They are not fighting back at you. They are not shooting you. 98%. And it's not the civilians that are raping the military men occupying the country. It's the military men raping the civilians. Read Men, Women, and Rape Against Our Will by Susan Brown Miller. Came out, I'm trying to think, I read it. You'll never look the same at people again, and men again. You'll never look at them again the same. She said she never did. It took her 3 years to write it. It was before computers. It was in the 60s, I believe. 60s or early 70s. I think it was mid to late 60s. See, he's making me remember all these things, and I don't remember all the details of all the things I mentioned. Another thing that happens to soldiers who have fought in wars is they become so traumatized by the experience that more soldiers who have been involved in the horrors of war commit suicide than die in conflict. More soldiers die from suicide after the war, or after their time in the war than die in conflict. Can you believe that? It's unreal. This then explains the big difference in violence between the USA and Canada. Both countries are similar in their culture, but the levels of violence in the USA are far greater. According to the Washington Post, there is one death for every 28,000 people in the United States versus one death for every 215,000 people in Canada. That is about 1 in 7 difference. In other words, we have 7 times more deaths. He doesn't explain what kind of deaths. I think he means violent deaths. It can't be deaths from heart attacks, cancer, and the like. It's got to be deaths from violence, I think, homicides and suicides. Why is there such a difference in the two countries? The answer could be that the USA has a far larger military and use far more soldiers to fight in wars than Canada. The result is that the USA has far more men trained to kill and are traumatized by war. Poverty is also higher in the USA, and this also increases crime and violence. So it is not surprising that the levels of violence in the USA are very high. We know that for sure. And by the way, our prisons have more people in them, mostly men. We're one of the highest in rates of prisons being filled up with people than any country in the world. One of the highest, if not the highest. It has been claimed that one of the most evil group of men in the 20th century were the Nazi Party in Germany. But few people ask why they were like this. If we look at the life of their leader, Adolf Hitler, we find as a boy he was beaten frequently by his stepfather who hated him. I never heard that. Then as a young man he served in the trenches of the First World War, which some historians have claimed was the worst war men have experienced. Wow. As a soldier, Hitler was treated for shell shock, or what we now call post-traumatic stress disorder. I learned something. I didn't know that shell shock was PTSD. Maybe I should have figured it, huh? To be continued.